Okay, so now we know how to execute our Protractor scripts, right? So we looked at the basic project, like we created a folder and then we copied these two files from the examples folder, which is available after you install Protractor in your machine, right? So these are the two files which are required, one conf.js, one example spec.js, and we executed this on our Chrome browser, right? So this went to the AngularJS homepage, and then it verified a few things here. Okay, so now the next thing is, if you look at this script, right? So this is your test. Okay, the example underscore spec.js contains your test suits and test scenarios, right? So inside this test scenarios, you are using functions, and then you are using these by.model, or there are many locator strategies which are being used in this spec.js, right? So similarly, how you write your Selenium script in Protractor script, also you'll be using some driver methods, or you will be using some locator strategies, right? So some locator strategies are already derived from the WebDriver API, since this is written on top of the WebDriver API, right? So it already inherits some of the basic locator strategies like by.name, by.id, by.xpath, right? By.link text, partial link text. So all the basic ones are already there. So you can definitely use them. Now, some of them are specific to Protractor, right? So the Protractor provides you with some specific locators which will be useful when you are automating the AngularJS applications, right? So some of them are, you will see here, by.model, by.binding, right? By.repeater. These are the locators strategies which will not be available in Selenium. Okay, so we are going to talk about these locators. As I was mentioning, there are locators which are already derived from the WebDriver API, like by.name, by.id, and by.xpath. They they are pretty similar to how you use it in Selenium. You can use it the same way here, right? And then these are the locators. There's 6 locators. Now there are many others, but I just mentioned these because these are the most basic ones and the most commonly used when you are writing any Protractor script. Okay, so the first one is by.binding. Now this you can use when you want to find an element which is bound to a given variable. Okay, so we'll see how we can use that, and or else I can show you how it looks in an application, right? So this is the AngularJS homepage, which we already used example script over this, right? So it's a very good website if you are just starting with Protractor and you just want to verify very basic things on a AngularJS application, right? So this website is built on AngularJS. Okay, so, and the very good thing about this is they have explained you all the basics, and they have provided you with the HTML code also, right? So if you see this section, there is a simple text box, and then whatever you write in this text box, it's displayed over here, right? So this is a greeting message on the homepage. Now, in order to identify whether it's a AngularJS application or not, right, you can search for this HTML element, which is ng app, right? So if you are able to find this ng app or any element which is kind of starting with ng, then you are sure that this is built on AngularJS, right? So as you can see, the ng app is the topmost node of this HTML page, and then this I was talking about, right? ng model. So this input text box has got a ng model, which has got a value your name, right? So we can use by.model here, and we can pass this, we can use this value, your name, and then we can set or send keys into this text box, right? So we can use by.model with your name. So we are going to see how you can write this script, but I just wanted to explain this locator, right? So we're talking about by.model in this application. So this is how you find an element with a certain ng model. Okay. Now find an element bound to given variable, which I was talking about earlier, by.binding. I am not sure if it's available here, but we'll just check. So by.binding is not available here, but I will explain you later, right? By showing you a live example of by.binding. Okay, now by.css, it's now pretty similar to what we used in WebDriver API, basically selecting an element using a CSS selector, right? So in CSS, if you are using a class, so you can use the dot, right? And you can also use the ID. So that is basically the CSS selector. Then by.buttonText is pretty simple. You can find an element using the button text selector, right? So if there is a text present for a button, you can use it this locator button text, right? So if we look here, if you see, this is a button class, right? And this has got a type submit and the value is add. Now this add is the text of this button. So you can use this locator here by.button text, and you can perform any action on this button, right? Okay, so next is by.repeater. Now this you can find all the elements which have got this ng repeater type element type, right? So it returns you a list of elements as opposed to other locators which just return a single element. This will return a list of elements, right? Now we have got something called ng repeat here, if you see, right? And this is a list type. So it has got different these two checkboxes, right, inside this list. So we can access these two values if we got this ng repeat, and then we can perform some actions on these values, right? So it returns you a list of elements. Now the next is by.options, right? So you can find an element with which has got this element type as ng options. Now this is pretty similar to select type, right? So when you are working with select drop down types, right, you can use this ng options, and then you can access the items which are present in the drop down, very similar to how you use it in Selenium if you have already worked on it. um, I don't think there is ng options as well present, but once we start building scripts for different websites, right? So this is just a basic site to get started, but I'll be using some live examples when we move on to the later sections of this course, right? So I will show you all these locators, how you can use them. But to start off, I'll be showing you some of these locators in the next video, right? We'll try to write some scripts which will use these different locators, and we'll be using this application, the same application which we used as an example. We'll be creating our own spec.js and we'll be rewriting the things, but in a different way. And then we'll understand also how the locators are being used. So that's what we'll do in the next video.